Hot Takes or Toast is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen with 30 years of serving Utah. Question of the morning. How hard is it to have interest in the Utah Jazz? Jeff's hot take, Utah sports, setting the standards for mediocrity.
Have you been following the women's gymnastics program at Utah? Have you been following the cross-country program at BYU?
I'm guessing the answer for Jeff would be no.
The volleyball, the soccer.
And let's be honest,
you've been following the soccer.
Utah Jazz basketball has fallen well below mediocrity. This is not mediocrity. They've lost 17 out of 20. They've lost
that's
6 in a row.
That's the standard. He knows that, but he's talking about the standard. He speaks of the standard. It's about the standard that's being said. What's your problem?
I thought that was funny, but you were on a roll and I didn't want to interrupt you. But I grinned and you lost it.
I did. You distract me all the time from artful takes.
See how many times you can use the word standard in your artful take.
Standard. You can't even say it right.
Standard. Standard. James says it's pretty hard these days, but baseball season is here, so no worries. James is going to have a baseball game on every night to distract him from whatever the Jazz are doing in their final 10 games.
Oh, yeah.
Well, final 9 after tonight.
Next 7 days, I'll be all about baseball. Get the free package.
I love this every year. You and your cheapness.
And take advantage of it, man. What's the point of not doing it?
Why don't you just buy the package and do it?
Because I've told you it 1,000 times. This MLB's got stupid rules. Mm-hmm. They have the Diamondbacks in the territory here, and if I buy the package, those games are blacked out. So I've got to get direct and get what I used to call the Fox channels that I pay like $10. I've been doing it for years and years, so I can get that. If I could get the Diamondbacks on the baseball package, I would buy the baseball package.
You love baseball so much, I'm surprised that to catch the early games back east, any one of which you might find interesting on any given day.
Of which they're on every day.
Or the Dodgers, you'll just pick up the ESPN game or an MLB Network game. Yeah.
I'm willing to spend the extra money, but it's pointless.
And they won't let you. I know.
It's so freaking stupid.
And no matter what I read, I can't explain to you why that's a good idea.
Plus, we're minimum 10 hours away. How many Diamondback fans here are in this market? There can't be more than 1,000.
You, and there's Ruth Todd, and there's a few other randos.
It's so stupid. Yes, I would buy it, but now you're asking me to buy 2 things. I pay enough for cable TV.
Those are both true things.
Yes.
They are asking you to buy a second thing with their bizarro rules.
I just as soon buy it, yes, because then I could watch the Dodgers more often and the Angels or whatever teams I want to watch.
Yeah. Cubs and Giants day games.
Whatever it might be. Yeah, for sure. A lot of them are on. If they're not on, then they do hits. Anyway, they do cut-ins, I guess, whatever they call them. So, but I'm willing to do it. It's so freaking stupid. It drives me nuts. It makes no sense to me why they don't let me do it. But I would do it.
Scott says, I'm one of the few that see a year from now that we're either going to get a top 5 pick or our young core will get us to the playoffs. I think next year's draft is great, but we need to get Hendricks, Markkanen, and Keontae developed to be ready to win. With or without Cooper Flagg. We are okay to lose 9 of the last 10 games this season, but we cannot tank next year.
Wait, I don't understand. With or without Cooper Flagg?
I guess that's a guy he wants in the draft next year.
Right, but he
says if we're not going to tank, how are you going to get him?
Right, that's what I'm saying. We cannot tank, and then you mention a kid that will be long gone. That doesn't make sense to me. That's what I'm saying.
I think Scott confused himself. If he wants a top 5 pick next year, they're going to have to tank one more year.
I would agree. That would only stand
Which is longer than a lot of Jazz fans want, but San Antonio is about to miss the playoffs for the 5th straight year, so this is how it works sometimes. You can hope for a quicker rebuild, and they happen, but maybe not for your guys.
Well, they can happen if you've got moves that you make to determine.
We'll know this summer. If there's the big, bold move and they're able to acquire 1 or 2 awesome players, the tank is over. If it's small moves around the edges, the tank's probably on.
I think the problem with the tank, it's been half bleeped.
Yeah.
And so you've sent mixed messages to your fan base, to your media, and all those folks who are involved. It just doesn't make any sense as far as what you're trying to do here. You tried to be competitive for an extent. The goal of being competitive for half the season, that doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of confusion going around in the minds of fans, in my mind too.
Mine also. Mine 3. And I don't think Yock's any more clear than the rest of us. 40 or 50 games of trying to be competitive, trades that clearly
and you were
strip
competitive.
Away. They better than competitive. They went 16 and 4 over 20 games.
I don't think it was trying. I think it was succeeding.
Yeah. The arrow was up.
I'm not a big try guy at the pro level.
Everybody's making too much money to try.
Try and hope are two different things that I just don't buy into. Hope is nothing but delayed disappointment most times. It is.
Let the inner jersey flow, baby.
That's the truth.
Everybody hopes they're going to win a title, and then only one team out of 30 or 32 does in pro sports.
You have to get it done. Don't tell me you're trying. Tell me you did. And don't tell you have hope. Having hope is... What good is that?
Paul says it's not very hard to watch to be interested in the Jazz. He says the team's rebuilding. They need the fan base to support them. They're still fun to watch, even if it's only for 3 quarters.
Some of these games have not been even close to fun.
There have been a series of road games this year that have been disastrous blowouts. Sometimes in the middle of the game they lose all hope, and sometimes they are not competitive literally from the opening minute.
I appreciate his loyalty, but they don't need the fans to support it. Because once they win, the fans will support it. They're just like every other fan base in the history of fan bases.
They'll be back.
Yeah. And most of them go to the games because it's something to do. And you have a corporate ticket, or you've been invited, or you bought season tickets, whatever it might be. So, yeah, it's still something to do to get you out of the house, which is, to me, that's all sports is anyway, but something to do. It's entertainment.
Sue disagrees. Sue says it's really, 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 really hard. Can't even watch them, which is sad since I used to have season tickets.
Yeah, I think for some people that it is hard to watch, especially if you are a committed fan. To see your team suck game after game, that's really hard. Easy for me to do. I'm a fan, but I'm not that committed fan. That is just so diehard. The diehard, yeah. To watch your team be awful, why do it? Why be going through that and have that level of disappointment? I'm still a fan. I'll know the scores and so forth, and check back to me when you're trying to win. You're not trying to win now. And if your fandom is based on your team winning, well, they're telling you they're not trying. They're trying to win with the guys they have, but big picture, not trying to win. I mean, you just don't start Johnny Juzang if you're trying to win.
I would like to argue with you right now. I'm finding it very difficult.
Right. So this is what, and they've got big picture, and their idea is to just be patient. Okay, well, I really have no choice. I could either say, screw that, I'm out completely, which I'm not. I don't think most fans are going to do. And then you're going to have to be patient and trust in their ability to get the job done. You have no other choice.
Van says, I've written this year off. Different lineups, terrible effort, inability to finish games have all contributed to just not caring anymore.
Yeah, I think that not caring is temporary, though.
That's what he said he's written this year off. He did not say he's written next year off. He will assess the moves they make in the summer and go from there.
Yeah, I don't see a big, drastic improvement next year.
Going to use the 3 draft picks, not going to make any big trades.
I mean, who are you going to get?
Can't predict that right now.
Because if you get those players, then those players will take away minutes from Hendricks, George, and Sensabaugh.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to do that after one season? What did you draft them in the first place for?
To flip them for somebody awesome.
I mean, they all got a long way to go.
Yeah.
As they should. Their ages dictate they've got a long way to go. There's very few players at their age have come in and been even anything close to big-time players. Now, there's been players that come in at their age and eventually become big-time players. That's happened.
That's a much more common story.
Yeah.
Dustin says, I got to give props to the fans who are still watching and attending games. It is hard to make the Jazz a priority when they are tanking.
I can see that, yeah. I view it now more, I got to watch the Jazz tonight versus, I got to watch the Jazz. Jazz are playing. I feel like an obligation work-wise to watch them, but it's, and I'm very grateful for the job. It's not like, oh, I got to go dig ditches today or any of that stuff. I got to bust it. No, I don't bust it. I sit on my butt. But I don't look forward to it like I did just 2-3 years ago when Mitchell and Joe and Rudy and those guys, I look forward to those games. Now it's, all right, it's on. I'm available. I make myself available. I will watch it. But
well, you don't even have the energy. You don't even have the energy for you had in January when they were picking up speed. And you just, whenever you don't know what's going to happen, that's much more interesting than when you have a very good idea what's going to happen.
Unless that very good is winning. Then it's even sweeter. Yeah. So, nobody gets tired of winning.
Watching Boston and Denver pile up the wins.
Predictability, if it's winning, is great. Predictability for losing sucks. Those are the two differences. I mean, Alabama fans, Ohio State fans, and you got maybe 1 or 2 games, but yet they sell out the stadium every time.
Yeah, but I was talking more for you. You would find for you personally, you would find a lot of Alabama football boring.
Well,
it's not a local team.
Unless I was a fan.
Right.
I'm trying to speak from the fan, not
from the fan perspective.
Personally.
If you know your team is going to win, it's very exciting to go to a win. But even Bama fans, for some of those, Nick Saban was complaining people weren't staying in the fourth quarter. Well, you're up by 50, coach. It's right. Like you've got your budget's 10 times bigger than this team. You're going to drill them. They'd show up for SEC games, but some of the non-league games there.
Yeah, and those teams show up for spring games.
Oh, the people there, yeah. Those are really the hardcore.
They get 50, 60, 70,000 in their dumb spring games, which are, just watered down. So, yeah, they got that going on. You don't mind it. But at the pro level, if you're winning, you don't have more budget and so forth. At least theoretically, it's closer to being even. And if your team is winning, when the Jazz were winning 60 games, and they knew, especially at home, we could call it the Delta Center then. That was fine. That was legal. They were going to the arena, and you knew you were going to win, and nobody seemed to matter at all. It was great. It was awesome. Go see a butt kicking. Now, it's the other way around. And that leads, if you're a hardcore, I can see where that leads to a lot of frustration. Especially because, man, then within a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, the season's over. Then you got to go through another year. And where's this thing going to end?
That is Alex Questions. Right now, they throw out a bunch of G League talent and expect you to pay NBA-level prices just to watch. They keep saying they have a plan, and they're ahead of the timeline. We know the goal is to win an NBA championship, but the plan and timeline are a big secret. If us fans knew what was going on and why, we might be able to stomach one of the worst defenses in the league, along with watching players that lack talent and skill.
It's a little bit hard for them to be talking about, hey, we got our eye on XYZ. I mean, you can't do that. You can't even say specifically who you'd like to draft. I'm sure right now they've got favorites with this pick that they would like to see be available. But they can't say anything.
They don't want someone to move up 2 or 3 spots in front of them to take the guy.
So that's sort of the situation at the pro level. You've got to trust in that they have the plan. And the way it sits right now, I don't see the team being much more competitive next year.
Jason says, I'm a huge Jazz fan. I decided I was done with the season when they got rid of Olynyk and Ochai for nothing. It's hard to make time for them in my busy world when it's a long-term plan. In the entertainment world, I just don't understand how you can expect viewers to stick around when you've quit midway through the season. But the Jazz will always have that luxury of a solid fan base that will never leave them, so I guess they're fine taking this risk.
Well, financially, none of these guys are going to be wondering where their next meal's coming from. So they're all, that's what, I've said that a million times over. They're all living exotic lives financially compared to what the rest of us live.
The NBA is awash in money.
Yeah.
And apparently about to get even more.
And the guys who have those jobs, they're making big time money. I mean, if I lost my job, I'd be in just an absolute panic. I wouldn't know what to do. I've never been unemployed since 16. Not one day have I been unemployed since age 16.
I have been.
Right.
I thought I handled it really well.
I'd
wife
freak out.
And my wife told me later, no, you handled it very poorly.
I would imagine.
Oops.
Yeah. No, I've seen my father go through it when I was 15. I saw the anguish.
Yeah.
And I saw the struggle. It was real, and the worry and all that stuff. But I fortunately have never gone through it. And those guys aren't going through it. And if they did go through it, then they probably got enough money to sustain it anyway. I don't get caught up in that. I just accept that.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We got more hot takes, more responses coming, and at 8:30 we have Tim Lacombe on the way, Jazz Radio studio analyst. He will join us. It's a Win Tickets Wednesday. We got concert tickets for you coming up about an hour from now right here on The Zone. Question of the morning, how hard is it to have interest in the Utah Jazz? Jaden's got him on the clock, PK. I'm giving them the 3 to 5 year period to start competing. Can't remember who said it, but they're trading wins for development with the trades. So Jaden's being patient, but they're on the clock.
Well, next year's the third year.
Yep.
5 seems long. Man.
3 more years of this?
Well, 2. This is 2 are down, so I get your point. Yeah. With these 2 portions of the seasons have seen long. Not the entire seasons. But how many times can you do that? I mean, I don't know that you can do that. So I would suspect that we wouldn't have that again next year. At least that's something to look forward to. So you got 2 down and the 3 to go. And the 2 have been excruciating because you thought you had something, and then it turns out you got rid of guys, anything that had experience. You shuffled them off to various destinations. I can't imagine that they would do that again next season. So maybe you can take some comfort into that. So if say they're playing good ball in December, that'd be a positive sign because I wouldn't think they would undercut it again for the 3rd year in a row in February. Because who's left?
Well, from the veteran point, it would seem like Clarkson, and then I guess if you really want to go worst case scenario, they trade away some younger guys, which isn't what they've done. So that seems to be like borrowing trouble that doesn't really exist. But
yeah, I see no reason for Clarkson to come in there and dominate the ball like he does, and then we've got to. When he goes 0 for 7, we've got to praise his passing.
Yeah, 9 assists. He contributed.
I mean, he's still lost. And that's all. It's all kind of just. We're making a big deal when your coach says, I don't give a bleep about stats.
Let's ignore that.
That's from your.
Which is what got ignored the other night.
Yeah, for your boss's mouth
right.
Said that. And I just.
And he didn't just say it. He said it with the emphasis. It stands out from a lot of other stuff
no
he
question.
said.
That's why we're talking about it.
Some energy to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he means this.
He said it aggressively.
Yep.
I love him when he does that because that's the truth. That's real. Clarkson has been fun. He's been eccentric and all that, and that's been great. But his time has got to come to an end. I don't care how much you love the guy. This isn't about personal relationships. This is about winning. If you're worried about personal relationships, you're going to lose.
You can't let sentimentality get into that.
Right.
As soon as you do that, it'll bite you.
Yeah. These guys, they're highly paid commodities. Yep. That's it. I guess, but if you're around them and your broadcasters talk about them and they're great people, blah, 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 whoop de freaking do. Donovan Mitchell, he was raised right. Well, what did that get you? He was raised right. That's just beautiful.
Out in the second round to the Clippers.
You know?
The sentimentality line came from Pablo Mastroni. He said that when there were difficult decisions on letting popular player go, and he just said, if you let sentimentality get into it, you're going to be in trouble very quickly.
Right. That's a fact. And you can still be friends with them and hug them and kiss them when they come back and all that stuff and play golf with them or vacation with them.
Offer them jobs in retirement.
Whatever it might be.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, but you got to look what's the best decisions to make towards winning. That's what this is about for them. For the rest of us, it's playtime. But for them, it's about winning. We're not building a community here. It's about winning.
Leroy says the Jazz season was over at the All-Star break. I'm just waiting to see how the off-season goes now.
Yeah, only thing I would add is off-seasons, because I don't think that it's a...
One off-season is going to fix everything?
Right.
Highly optimistic.
Right.
But I don't think people expect everything to be fixed. They just want progress.
That's what I'm saying.
So they'll buy your off seasons, but as long as there's some kind of move, and I think that's why people are so down now. If they had tanked from the very start, then they'd have a better draft pick, and people could be excited about.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you're going to get a better player.
It doesn't. But the anticipation from most people, although not everyone will get to that, is that if Ainge had a higher pick, he'd get a better player. And you're right. There's tons of examples of you get a higher pick and you miss, and then somebody goes in the middle of the first round, the end of the first round, the second round, turns out to be the guy you should have wanted all along.
Well, what players out of the 23 draft have contributed significantly to winning this year? Am I missing somebody?
No.
Because Holmgren has, but he was in the 22 draft.
Right. Patrick, I don't buy the Danny Ainge trust the plan BS, but I'll get over it as soon as he moves on.
He moves on? I don't know when he's moving on.
And not anytime soon would be my guess.
Yeah. Is he another Pat Riley?
That's not a bad comparison. This is the last job. And they like basketball, so they may alter what they do and how much they do, but they'll always be there making the big decisions.
Ainge was such a phenomenal athlete. I mean, he was like parade All-American in 3 high school sports. And that's only because he didn't have time to play golf on the team. So this guy, he's one of a kind. His skill level across the board. Just the fact he played 2 professional sports at the highest level, that alone.
Put you on a super short list.
Yes, right. So the point I'm making is, he is used to succeeding at a high level, and they're not succeeding right now, and he just turned 65 the other day. He makes me think he's going to be around for a while because he's not going to bail on this thing because he's got a personal relationship with the owner. These guys are extremely tight. And with that in mind, I don't think, at least my instincts would tell me, he wouldn't go to Ryan Smith in a half year or a year from now. I'm too tired of this because he had an influence in breaking it down. Now he's got to see it be built up. It's like Tom Holmoe. If he wanted to retire once they went independent, no, you got to see it through. And he did. He saw it through. He got them the schedules they needed as an independent, and then he got them in a position to be in where they are now. If he wants to retire going forward, but they wouldn't have let him. They would have said no.
You got to do the TV deals.
Yeah.
You got to raise the money.
Yeah.
You got to set up the schedules. You got to make sure that the football program is staffed properly.
Right. And he's done
And they
all
got
that.
through all of that
Yeah.
without. I mean, they had a bad season or two mixed in, but they never, drove off the road and got stuck in the mud permanently.
And I think that's the same situation with Ainge. Even if he wanted to, I don't think he would because he has been a significant influencer in breaking it down. Now he's got to build it up. And maybe he gets the last laugh.
Sooner or later.
Well, I said the other day 26, 27.
Nobody's bad forever.
Well, what's your definition of forever, though? I mean, if you take the literal definition, then yeah. But you're not the Clippers, the Warriors, and all those folks. They 14, 15 years. Yes, they were. They were bad for forever in the duration of those particular management people.
Yeah, the Suns had a 10-year run, and the Kings have had a couple of 15-year runs.
And the Warriors and Clippers and
the Warriors. That was
Charlotte
that
right
was,
now.
Charlotte.
Yeah. It just suck. Denver was awful for a good run. I mean, much more than we're anticipating here. I said 26, 27. It's got to be go time then.
That's a 5-year rebuild, which is what the Spurs are doing right now. And they're not rebuilt. I mean, that could get out to 6 or 7 or 8.
My thought is, they got to reboot once they got Big Vic, I think.
Right. But this is their 5th straight year that their fans have endured with no playoffs.
Understood. But they also had 5 titles, so shut the freak up.
And they got Wemby on top of that.
Right. Yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We got a poll question up. You might be standing right now in territory you have never or rarely, certainly rarely, and possibly never been in before. We'll get to that next.